This is Trevor Benko, CEO of TGB Supplements.
And this is Ben Jordan.
Today we're going to do a video talking about the most important factors concerning steroid use and hormone replacement therapy. Some of the things that you need to look out for and ways to prevent long-term health issues. So to start off, I think the number one thing would be cardiovascular health.
Yeah, two of the most important things you can do is keep both your blood pressure and your blood lipids and cholesterol under control. Cardio can go a long way in doing that.
Yeah, cardio actually helps with both of those. It increases oxygen efficiency and oxygen uptake and absorption, and as well as lowering the cholesterol and raising the HDL, or helping raise HDL.
A low intensity steady state cardio is very good for improving that vascular health and lowering the blood pressure. Intervals, they can help with cardiac function, that could go along with your oxygen efficiency as well, and it could also increase your heart elasticity.
Yeah, so even like a 20-minute cardio hit after your workout, maybe like 120 beats a minute, is typically enough to benefit cardiovascular wise.
Yeah, and that can also break down any scar tissue if you would happen to have any built up in that cardiac muscle.
You'd be surprised how much better you'll feel with a little bit of cardio. I mean, you don't have to do so much that you're burning off muscle. You want to just do enough just to keep your heart healthy and keep your cardiovascular system pumping efficiently.
Yeah, a lot of people find that if you'd be one of the people that throw it in first thing in the morning, they actually have more energy throughout the day. Plus it gets you woke up faster because heat is energy. You're raising your body temperature, so you can have some indirect energy from that.
Yeah, typically for myself, when I do cardio in the morning, I like to do it fasted, and it just, like Ben said, it kind of wakes you up for the day. And for myself, a lot of times, especially if my blood pressure is running high, I'll end up waking up with a headache. When I do the cardio, it keeps my blood pressure down, keeps me feeling good, keeps the headaches away, which is a good thing.
Yeah, the next thing we'll touch on is your blood work. Unless you get frequent bloods done, which not many of us do, you don't really have any idea what your cholesterol or your lipids is looking like.
Yeah, very important to see what's going on inside your body, because especially when you're taking anabolic steroids or if you're on hormone replacement, you don't always feel bad. You could feel great, and your heart could be in bad shape.
Yeah, bearing some lethargy if you're using some type of methylated oral, there's really no way of knowing how your renal system is functioning.
Yeah, I mean, you may notice your blood pressure if it's really high. You may get some nosebleeds, or you just may feel the headaches and pressure and so on. But that's another thing. They call it the silent killer for a reason, because it's very common to have high blood pressure and not even know that you're running high.
Yeah, when you combine that with, say, an elevated hematocrit, which is your blood thickness, and you throw that into your kidneys, being the filtration system, it's a lot harder to filter that blood that's thicker through your kidney cells, and that's what causes kidney cell death, and that's another silent killer.
Yes. So what we typically would recommend would be to check your lipids at least every 3 to 6 months, which is a fasted blood test. You want to go with a comprehensive metabolic panel to see what your liver and kidneys are doing. A CBC with platelet and differential would be good to check and see where your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, red blood cells, and so on are.
Probably even more frequent than that if you're somebody that uses a lot of oral
if you're using heavy injectable cycles. If you're just on hormone replacement, usually 3 to 6, every 3 to 6 months is good. Obviously, any more is better. It's always good to see what's going on, and you could just track it according to how your diet is, what your use is like as far as supplements or drugs, and just to kind of keep an eye on what's going on.
Yeah, your compounds that promote water retention more, like a dianabol, anadrol, testosterone, nandrolone, those are all going to cause a larger increase in blood pressure.
Yes, and even a steroid that may seem safer and milder, like an Anabolic, could increase your kidney stress significantly, a lot more than you would think, and that's a lot more scary than liver stress.
Yep, elevated liver stress can correlate with a impact on your cholesterol and lipids as well, so that's another thing.
Definitely, yeah. If your liver enzymes are high, it will definitely impact your liver as well, or vice versa. If your lipids are very high, that could have an impact on your liver function. So other things that you may want to test would just be your testosterone, your free, your total, maybe bioavailable, just to see where you're at, to see what you're using and how it's working in your body. Estradiol, those are some things that you might want to check out. I don't think we missed anything, did we?
No, that should be it.
I think that covers
your LH, your FSH, GnRH. That would be if you're looking for like a low testosterone to see kind of where your
production
failing.
markers are. Yeah. All right, so number 3, or the next thing, would be blood pressure monitoring. So it's very, very easy to get yourself a home blood pressure unit. Just check your blood pressure, at least every couple days, just to see what's going on. It's good to check it first thing in the morning. It's good to check it, before you work out, after you work out, just to have an idea of what your typical numbers are, because sometimes your pressure could change throughout the day. You may be running high all day while you're at work, and then when you're home, you're fine. But that all day long eventually could cause problems.
Yeah, we touched on the compounds that's more predisposed to promote higher blood pressure. You definitely want to keep your diet in check if you're worried about that as well. Being a lifter or somebody that does do a lot of sports, you are going to expend more sodium, and you're going to need more sodium than somebody who's more sedentary. But that's not to say that you shouldn't be cautious with your sodium intake.
At least be aware of what's typical for you, and try to keep it consistent. Everybody's different, and some people can take large amounts and have no problem. Some people are very sensitive to sodium, so it just depends on the person.
Yeah, and your hydration. Make sure you keep your fluid intake up as well, because if you can have more water intake that can combat a little bit of an excess sodium intake and not have that problem. If your sodium's elevated way too high and you don't have the fluid to combat it, that's where you can run into trouble.
Which brings us to number 4, staying hydrated. Staying hydrated is critical to your overall health, especially when you're on any kind of cycle, or if you're on testosterone replacement therapy, hormone replacement therapy. Like Ben said, the water makes a huge difference in your body. It keeps your blood's made up of a lot of water, so that helps your blood flow more efficiently, and prevents it from getting thicker. It also helps filter the kidneys, keep the kidneys filtered, and just for overall health. I mean, the muscles are made up mostly of water. Just keep you feeling good.
Yep, the water brings oxygen to your blood, and with your body using or producing red blood cells to increase oxygen efficiency, if you're not as hydrated, your body's more predisposed to develop more red blood cells to try to make up for that lack of oxygen, to make you more efficient, or being able to use more of that oxygen that you don't have. So it's another reason to stay more hydrated.
And tracking back to the high blood pressure, because these all kind of tie in together. When your blood gets thicker, which it will if you're using hormones, whether just for replacement or to build more muscle, your blood is going to get thicker, which is going to raise blood pressure, which is going to cause more issues with the kidneys and so on. The thicker the blood gets, the harder it is for your kidneys to filter it. The harder and the more pressure your arteries are going to feel because of that. So you really got to watch what's going on in your body. It could cause your left ventricle hypertrophy, which is growth and thickening of the left ventricle wall, and down the road that could lead to cardiovascular failure.
Yeah, anybody that's into fitness or training under a strength or more workload, you will have some of that hypertrophy, but the things that we're talking about can lead to excess hypertrophy, which can run into trouble down the road.
Yes. So that brings us to number 5, which would be having a good relationship with your doctor, or finding a doctor that you can at least talk to. There's a guy by the name of Thomas O'Connor. It used to be the Anabolic doc. I believe it's now the Metabolic doc. But he's a doctor that works with a lot of athletes. He has a YouTube channel. You could check him out. He's very intelligent. I watch a lot of his stuff. He'll if you want to work with him, you can call his office, schedule an appointment. He'll do a phone consult, or you could probably even schedule to come and see him. But he'll go through, check all your blood work, make sure your labs are where they need to be, and he's more concerned about your long-term health and your longevity, which is very important. And he doesn't promote steroid use, but he understands why people do it, and he tries to do his best to help keep you safe. That's just one that's well known. I used to read his articles in muscular development. Like I said, he has a YouTube channel. You can check him out. But there's other doctors out there. You want to find somebody that you can talk to and be open with. Just so when you have to get your blood work done, it's not an inconvenience. I personally work with a doctor locally, and if somebody is in our area in Pennsylvania that needs blood work, I can actually get you set up with the doctor to do that, if that's something that you want to do, or if you're looking to look further into hormone replacement, this doctor can help you with that as well. If that's something that you need, you can contact me personally. But if you're in another state and you need a doctor, you really need to just try to talk to people that are also doing the same thing. Other guys that are on hormone replacement, or other guys that may be using anabolics that are trying to take care of their health, which may be hard to find. Unfortunately, a lot of guys don't worry about that type of thing. But if you got a guy that's on hormone replacement, that doctor may have some knowledge if you're lucky. So just kind of look around, try to find the right person for you, and you got to be able to be open with them. And you also got to keep in mind that they may not always say what you want to hear, but that's what you're looking for. You want somebody that's going to be able to tell you those things that you may not want to hear to keep you in line.
Yeah, sadly, not a lot of PCPs are well versed with hormonal replacement.
Yeah, most
or management.
At least in our area, most common doctors are not very familiar with it and don't always know how to handle it the best way. And a doctor also is knowledgeable in a lot of other things, that normal people are not. Your average gym guy is not going to be up on things like creatine kinase, the way the heart works, and another thing, like if you got a good relationship with your doctor, you could ask him to do an echocardiogram every now and then. Normally a normal doctor is not going to want to do this. Insurance may not want to cover it, but if you have a doctor you have a good relationship with, who would understand that, hey, this is something I should probably do, because if you're using anabolic steroids, it's something you need to be aware of, whether or not your heart's enlarging and how your heart's functioning. So that's just another reason why it's very important to have a good relationship with your doctor. So moving on to number 6, that would be your health supplements. And so pretty much the supplements tie in to all this. There's supplements to help with everything we just discussed. So for example, the thickness or the high hematocrit, or the thickening of the blood cells, or too many red blood cells. What you could do for that, there's something called grapefruit seed extract. Now this doesn't work for everybody, but I have seen it work for a good many people, including myself. But you have to be consistent. We carry a product from Nutribiotic. It's called grapefruit seed extract. Maximum strength, I believe, is 250 milligrams per cap. I usually take one of those in the evening and one of those in the morning. Now you have to be careful with certain medications because grapefruit could interact. It interacts with one of the liver enzymes that actually is responsible for breaking down certain drugs. So that's one thing that you could do.
We have that in a liquid, a tablet, and a capsulated form.
Yes. I personally have been using the capsule, and it works very well for me, but it did take about 2 to 3 months to notice a difference. And now that I have been on it, everything has been coming back in range. Typically, I'm a little bit high. Other supplements that you may want to look into would be fish oil. It's very important. It helps keep the blood thinner, helps with blood pressure, can help with inflammation, and can decrease blood clotting. Very good for your HDL, your good cholesterol as well.
Yeah, curcumin's another one that's very good for anti-inflammatory. Studies have shown it can even inhibit or reverse left ventricle hypertrophy, which
very, very common with anybody using anabolics, or even just strength training athletes in general. CoQ10. There's Ubiquol, which is supposed to be a higher absorption rate version of CoQ10, or the one that I prefer is from Antius Labs. It's called Ultra CoQ10, which is a cyclodextrin complex CoQ10, which increases the absorption drastically, and it helps with overall beating and strength of the heart and overall cardiovascular function.
Yeah, hawthorn berry is another very good one that can help with the blood pressure.
It also helps with the strengthening of the heart. I think in the UK they use that along with prescription blood pressure medication to help actually get you off of the medication eventually.
D-ribose is another really good one.
And that can increase ejection fraction rate, which is very, very important for anybody that is in heart failure or dealing with cardiovascular failure. Very important stuff. The newest ones we've gotten in recently that I've personally been using both is the MPA Cardiazol and the MPA Heart Sol from Matt Porter's line. These are very, very well rounded with citrus bergamot. I mean, there's tons of ingredients in here. Literally everything you need is in these two products. I take a little extra on top of that just to add that extra little bit of security, but they're the most well-rounded that I have seen so far. I should just put it that way. The next one would be MPA Cortisol. Now this is for your cortisol levels, but it also can help with lowering your creatine kinase levels, which is why I take it. So it helps with overtraining. It can help prevent muscle breakdown, and it can also help with your kidney function.
Yeah, I mean, this could even be somebody, if you're dieting very hard, or
Yes.
if you've been taking any stimulants for an appreciable amount of time, you could have some elevated levels. The cortisol could be a good product for you. You might not even be somebody that uses androgen, but you could benefit from it.
Or if you're somebody that overtrains and you don't know when enough is enough,
Yep.
if you're like me, you really enjoy training hard and you like to train every day, that's one of my problems for sure. I don't like to take days off. I like to do too much. So this is a product. That's why I use this product. I use it twice a day.
I'm sure even an endurance runner could benefit from something like that.
Yeah, anybody really that has a high stress environment. The next one would be vitamin E, vitamin C, and vitamin D. Vitamin E can help keep the blood thinner and help prevent clotting. Vitamin C has many uses for overall antioxidant support. It can help preventing illness, and vitamin D is for bone health, and it also is very important for overall immune support.
Yeah, it's over like 253 metabolic functions, something
Yes.
like that. It's very
It's responsible
high.
for
Don't
a
quote me.
lot of different things. And very common to be low in vitamin D, at least in our area in the Northeast where we have winters. We're not able to get a lot of sun. Almost everybody that I see, their blood work, it's always low vitamin D. Very common. We already went through the grapefruit seed extract. Next, the other product that I used was magnesium citrate, or any type of magnesium. I like the citrate version. Now this helps relax the smooth muscles. It can help relax the blood vessels, lower blood pressure. It can also help with, if you get palpitations. Sometimes when I'm overtraining or I'm training really hard, you get a little depleted in electrolytes, and I'll start to get little flutters in my heart. Usually I start taking the magnesium and that goes away. So it's just something I like to throw in for a little extra support. You want to hit the next one?
Yeah, and RLA, that's another thing that can provide some very good antioxidant support, and that can help with your body stressors as well.
Anybody that's doing HRT, hormone replacement, maybe using growth hormone, this is something that you can benefit from very much so, because it can increase your insulin sensitivity, which is very important, and especially if you're using higher doses of growth hormone. As well as the next one, berberine. Berberine is another one that helps with the shuttling of glucose. It increases insulin sensitivity. It's supposed to have a lot of other properties. It's it's compared very closely to metformin, actually, which is a diabetic medication, usually for type 2 diabetics.
Isn't berberine another one they have to be cautious with their medication?
Yes.
It can increase the potencies or half-life?
I'm not sure if it can increase the potency, but it could cause you to have interactions. Yeah, like it could cause hypoglycemia as well. So that's something that you would want to be careful with. It could also cause you to have to go to the bathroom frequently, especially right after you eat.
That's typically with your lower grade berberines, like a lower grade extra.
Or if you're taking a higher dosage, yes.
Yeah, N-acetylcysteine, or NAC, as a lot of people will say. Very good for renal function. Again, it's another one that can help with your insulin sensitivity. A lot of guys will stack that with your berberine or your RLA, NARALA.
And N-acetylcysteine is very important for your liver function, which is why I use it myself. That is actually, if you were to overdose on, let's say, Vicodin, like a hydrocodone, it usually contains acetaminophen, which is hard on the liver. They'll usually give you an intravenous solution of N-acetylcysteine, and that actually helps the liver flush out those toxins. So this is something that actually flushes out the toxins. So, something like a milk thistle would help kind of get everything bundled up to be flushed out. The N-acetylcysteine does actually flush them out. This actually gets converted to glutathione, which glutathione by itself in oral form is not very effective because it's wiped out. That's why N-acetylcysteine is very much, I guess, more commonly used, because it gets converted in the body, which then the body can utilize more efficiently. Glutathione on its own injectable version of that would be very effective, but like I said, orally it's just not as effective. So very good for liver health, which will help with cholesterol support and everything else because of increased liver function.
Yeah, then we got TUDCA. Bear with me, I'm a little bit congested, but it's taurursodiol acid. I think the UDCA is a pharmaceutical in other countries.
Yeah.
It's one of the only compounds shown to reverse oral or cholestasis from oral androgens. they add the taurine attachment to this for legality reasons. But this is another one that's very good for your liver health.
Yeah, very, very good stuff. Probably the best stuff out there, in my opinion, for overall liver health. Now, this is something that I have read some studies where they say that it's not best to use directly at the same time as oral anabolics, that it could increase toxicity temporarily. I'm not sure how much truth there is to that, but myself, I use it, and I try to just space it out at different times if I was to be using any kind of oral androgen. Next, these two are a little more controversial. PPAR agonist, SR9009, GW501516, or carterine. Now, carterine is a little bit more iffy just because there are studies that were done in when it was being studied as a drug that said that it could cause cancerous tumor development. We're not suggesting that you take these compounds, but they do or have shown that they could very much benefit your cardiovascular health as far as raising your HDL, lowering your LDL, increasing endurance, increasing oxygen efficiency, your VO2 max. These are very important things for overall heart health. So just wanted to mention them here. Next is the red yeast rice, and this is a natural statin that can help lower your bad cholesterol, your LDL, and total cholesterol as well. This is something, if you are struggling with cholesterol issues, is something that you could add in along with citrus bergamot. The reason we didn't mention citrus bergamot is because it is in the MPA heart salt, but citrus bergamot is very, very effective with raising HDL, lowering LDL.
Which one of those strips the CoQ? Is that the bergamot?
No, that's the red yeast rice.
Okay.
Yep, red yeast rice will lower your CoQ10 just like any other statin. So if you're on any statin medications, that's why it's very important to take CoQ10 of some form during that time. One thing we didn't mention was celery seed extract. That's also in the MPA heart salt, and the reason for that is that's very good for blood pressure health and blood vessel health. Now, just
garlic extract's another really popular, and I don't think we mentioned that either.
Yeah, there's another one. So we're just trying to hit as many as we can. Garlic can be very good for your overall heart health for some of the same reasons. It's good for your cholesterol. It can help with blood pressure.
Yeah, another thing, which, I mean, about anybody, whether you're a steroid user or not, just with the way things are nowadays, a lot of people take caffeine. If you're enhanced, using a lot of stimulants, your blood pressure is elevated and your blood might be thicker, and if you're taking something that spikes your blood pressure and then elevates heart rate,
not a good idea.
No, it's a bad path. A lot of people, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I take caffeine, it keeps me normal.
I'm guilty as well.
My adrenals are just shot. This people's lifestyle, got a lot going on. It's really hard to take a break on it, especially you go through a little bit of a withdrawal period, you got a headache, but if you can, we always recommend it, using pre-workouts or fat burners. Use them for a month or two, take a break, that way you can take that pre-workout that you like again and get a very good result and not have to keep stepping up to get the same effect, and eventually you hit the point to where you're using it just to be normal.
Yes, and don't do it every day. Try to use it on days when you really need it. Don't rely on it every single day. One more thing, that really bad for anybody that's using steroids or obviously on hormone replacement would be recreational drugs, especially opiates. Very bad on your kidneys, very hard on your body, especially those that have acetaminophen in them, like Percocets, Vicodin, stuff like that. The acetaminophen is actually worse than the opiate itself on your body as far as the liver and so on. But opiates in general are they slow your digestion, they hurt your kidney function. It's just a recipe for disaster, especially with stimulants, obviously cocaine, methamphetamines, any kind of amphetamines, Adderall, stuff like that. Those are all going to be very bad for you if you're using any kind of anabolic steroid. I think that pretty much wraps everything up. Try to be as thorough as we could. I hope this gives you guys some ideas as far as ways to help prevent heart issues and take care of your overall health. If you have any questions, you can reach us at info@tgbsupplements.com, or if you're interested in buying any of these products, reach out to us and we'll be very happy to assist you any way we can, even if it's just a question or one product, whatever. That's what we're here for. Alright guys, we'll see you in the next video.